Hi there guys, welcome back to another C Sharp tutorial. In the previous tutorial, we saw how we can store different fields uh, regarding some kind of information, for example, a name and an age of a person, and this was achieved using separate arrays. So you create, let's say, an array for names, an array for ages, and let's say if you have a mark, you will create an array for that. If you have, let's say, car number, you create an array for that, and so on. Um, However, this have a drawback, which is, let's say, you want to store 30 fields for a person. What that means is you will have to create 30 distinct arrays, okay, and you need to manage all these arrays. So for example, when you are filling these arrays, you need to fill all of them. And more importantly, when you are copying, inserting, let's say, elements into them, you will have to insert into all of them in the correct order, exactly the same order. When you are removing elements, you need to do exactly the same thing for all 30 arrays. And when you are, let's say, swapping during a sort process, you will have to do this process 30 times. So the more fields you have, the more work you will have to do, and basically the more bugs you will start to get, because nobody is perfect and no one can remember doing all these steps. So there is a better way to do it, which is combining all these fields into a single unit, or let's say a single variable type, which is called a structure. So we are going to dive into that in a second. So we'll take this example where we are reading names and ages, uh, and we'll use it in here. So the first thing we are going to do is writing struct, and then we will give a name for the structure. This is only to identify the structure type, because we can have multiple structures. So we are going to say person, and we are going to open a bracket, close one. Okay, so far so good. We defined a structure. We are going to say, for example, public string name. So what that means is a person structure consists of a name field, and we're going to say public int age. And what that means is the structure now has another field, which is age. Okay, so how do we use a structure? Well, the standard way to use a variable, you write the type, right, followed by the name, and then later on you would fill it, right, something like that. Well, the same thing apply here. You would write the structure name, this person, you will write the variable name, in this case it's p, and later on I will fill that. Now how do you fill it? You have fields. What you do is use the dot. So you write variable name, and the dot tells the computer I want to access one of the fields. So if you look here, you will see that there are two fields, which is name and age. So you could access the name. For example, you could say Smith. Oops. And you could access the age, and you put 88, for example. Okay, now if we want to print that, we're going to say system.console.writeLine name, or let me just write the values right away. So here I'm going to say p dot, I want to uh, display the name first, followed by p dot age. There we go. Put a semicolon. Finally, we will have system console read line, just to keep the cursor on the screen. And now we are gonna run this, see what's gonna happen. So you can see Smith 88. Okay, now as you can see, this is very similar to how we did that in arrays. in the previous method when we were trying to access values, what we did is writing the, for example, names of I and ages of I, right? So it's very similar. However, when we are gonna swap values uh, and pass a structure into let's say methods, things will be much easier. So let us apply the previous example. Let me show you the previous example here. Okay, this is a previous example. So we have two fields, which is names and ages. So check out the number of parameters. We have a name parameter and age parameter, and we are passing this into read name age, right? So now we're going to see how to do the same thing using structures. So we're going to create a method. So static void read person, because we are reading an array of structure. So here I'm going to say uh, person p followed by reference int I, because we don't know how many elements we're going to read, so we're going to get that from the screen. So or actually I need maybe put L for length. Okay, so L equal in dot parse. I'm going to say system console read line. This is as simple as that. And now we're going to loop. So for int I equals 0, I is more than L, and I plus plus. And we're going to display a friendly message. So system console. Sorry, right. There we go. And we're going to say enter name. Okay. We need to put I plus 1 because I will start from 0. We don't want to display 0, we want to display 1 to 3. So I'm accessing by 1 hour. And then we will read the name. So we have P of I. Now check how we are accessing an array of structure. You write the name of the element you want to access, and you put a dot indicating which field you want to fill. Okay, and you will use it like this. So system cancel read line. There we go. And next we're gonna ask for the age. So we have system cancel right enter age, and then we have p of I dot age equal int dot parse system cancel read line semicolon. So we have just read these values, and this is it. This is how you read it. Now check one important thing here. We are passing a single array. However, we are reading two fields, a name and age. Now, if we increase the number of parameters, let's say, for example, we could just say public int mark, right? So all you have to do in your code is just add these two fields, enter, let's say, mark, and we will just write mark over here. And you don't need to change the definition or the header of this method. Okay, and when you are gonna, let's say, let us just call this one. So I can say person p equal new person of 100. So int ln equals 0, let's say, and then we will say read person, and we will pass p followed by reference ln. There we go. Now I need to put these two brackets. Okay, right. So check how easy it is to call this method. You don't have to list the arrays. So going back to our previous hypothetical example, if we have 30 different fields, What that means is you need to create a method that would receive 30 different arrays, and you need to pass all these array names in the correct order, and whatever processing happens inside that function, it needs to be correct, right? Yeah, and should be applied for all the arrays. However, when we are using structures, you just write the name of the array of structure. The structure could have one field, two fields, 100, 1000 fields in theory, no problem. And the code would be much, much simpler. Okay, so now let us just print things here. For this, I'm gonna just comment here and here, right? And yeah, I can leave this in place, or I'm gonna comment it for now, and I will activate it later on just to show you how easy it is to do stuff using this method, using structures. So public static void, can say print person, and person followed int l. And now we are gonna just have a for loop in type equals 0 I smaller than l and I plus plus, and we're gonna say system console write line. We are gonna say, just write some code here, uh, person number, that's wait a second, 0 is with age 2, right? So I'm gonna put here I plus 1 followed by p of I dot name and p of I dot age. That's it. And yeah, so let's go and print person and see how things go. Print person, p followed by ln. It's as simple as that. So we're reading and printing. Let me save this here, and now let us run this code, and I've done an error. Interesting. What is the error over here? Wait a second, what did I do here? Oh, sorry. No need for, yeah, went to C definition. Let's see it again. Okay, that was a C definition. So I didn't put a friendly message for this, asking me the number of elements or persons or people. So I'm gonna say 3. So for the first one, Smith 20, Todd 30, Michael 40. You can see Smith 20, Todd 30, Michael with 40, right? And if we want to, let's say, if we want to, let's say, read more information, like for example, oops, what's wrong here? Okay, for some reason Visual Studio is helping. I think it's asking for an internet connection. I'm having problem with that right now. Okay, so now we have just added the mark field into the structure. Maybe I could even add int another test field, which I am never gonna use, right? You could do that. You could add field that you are not gonna use, and you don't have to change anything on your code. So now I'm gonna say 3, name A, 1, name B, 2. Oops, I've done a mistake. And sorry, the mistake was in the data entry, not in the program. Although the program must usually do validation to avoid such things. Anyway, so my mistake, sorry about that. I'm gonna say 3, the first name A, the age is 1, the mark is 1, the second name B, age is 2, the mark is 10, the third name C, age 3 mark is 100. Okay, so you can see person number 1 with age 1, person number 2 with age 3, sorry, A with 1, B with 2, and C with 3. So you might be asking, well, what happened to the mark field and what happened to the test field? Well, basically, we used the mark field during the data entry, but we didn't use that during any processing. Okay, so there is no problem with that. Oops, yeah, okay, you could do that, no problem. And also for the test field, the same happened. Okay, so you could add a number of fields if you would like to. You could remove them, no problem. So this is why structure is very powerful thing to use, because it allows you to combine different fields into a single unit. And when you want to copy names in arrays, or let's say records, or in the arrays, you could just copy the whole thing in one step or in one go. Yeah, sorry. Okay, so now let us just try, let me just show you something very simple. I'm going to show you how you could copy a complete name or a complete record. So person tmp equal p of 0 and p of 0 equal p of 1, and then p of 1 equals tmp. So what is happening in these steps? In this, we are swapping the first and second element. This is, if you remember, if we use integer here, this will be swapping the first and second element in an array. I think you remember that, right? So uh, here, this is just to demonstrate how we can use structures in order to swap complete fields in just one step, let's say. Okay, so now, come on. Why is this one's in the background? Okay, never mind. For some reason it's going to the background. Anyway, so I'm going to say 3, Smith 10, Todd 20, and Michael 40. There we go. So you can see name number 1, Smith, age 10, and then Todd with age 20. However, let's see in the second case, Todd is 20 and Smith is 10. So you can see, I'm not sure if this is very obvious to you guys, but anyway, okay, just to click here and put a right line, probably, yeah, oops, I went to the other project. There we go. Yes, okay. Let's say system console right line. There we go. Run this again. It's going to the background. This is strange. Okay, never mind. So here I'm gonna say 2 records only. Todd 1, Michael 2. So you can see Todd with age 1, Michael with age 2, Michael with age 2, Todd with age 1. So if you check here, check out how many steps are used. Oops, again have to swap the project. Come on, 17, there we go. Sorry, this is a very strange behavior in Visual Studio. Yeah, never mind. So what you see here, what you can see over here is that the number of steps used to swap the fields, all of the fields, is just 3 steps. The more fields you have, if you have 30 fields in here, 100 fields in here, You will always need just these three steps to swap the values. If you are passing these fields all together into an array, into a function, you will always need to pass a single variable. Okay, so this is how uh, structures help you out in programming in a way that um, you won't usually you would reduce the number of mistakes you do. Yeah, so this is basically how structures work. I hope you will find this tutorial useful. Thank you for watching and have a nice day. Bye bye.